Today's episode of the BS Podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek, our presenting sponsor and favorite app for buying and selling tickets for sports and music. Go to SeatGeek.com/BS to start using SeatGeek. Hey, WWE fans, lots of WrestleMania 32 tickets on there. Don't forget to download the free SeatGeek app. Enter promo code BS. SeatGeek sends you $20 upon your first purchase. Today's episode is also brought to you by Simply Safe. There's no better way to protect your home. Remember, any home security company that says it's free has a huge contract and conditions attached. Simply Safe has no long-term contracts and the best 24/7 protection possible for $14.99 a month. Visit simplysafebill.com to get my 10% off discount. Today's podcast is also brought to you by my new website, The Ringer. Don't forget to subscribe to our upcoming newsletter at TheRinger.com and follow us on Twitter at Ringer. And we're off.
Yeah. Clear enough for
It's a little Monday rolling. Monday morning rolling.
Yeah.
We rolled last Monday. We'll roll again this Monday.
Yeah.
We'll roll any day of the week, for real.
We're going to roll all the time. This is Joe House on the line. Later, Alan Sepinwall coming. I haven't talked to you since we launched TheRinger.com. You excited?
I was thrilled. I mean, another place for me to write corny jokes about the Washington Wizards and pastrami sandwiches. I'm in.
I know. If we'd had our newsletter ready in time, we could have had a post-trade deadline newsletter where you could have written stuff about Markieff Morris.
Well, I wrote 140 characters in 6 different tweets. That's about all that I had on that one anyway.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that in a second. Let's talk about the Warriors first. I went to the Warriors-Clipper game on Saturday night. It was on ABC, and I brought my daughter, who does not miss the Warriors when they're in town because she loves Steph Curry. It was a weird game. The refs really sucked. The refs were terrible. It was 3 refs that I haven't really seen on a big stage in a game like that before. And there was a little drama because the Warriors had gotten their asses kicked the night before for their 5th loss of the season. Dame Lillard basically eviscerated them. And, you know, all of a sudden, the 73-win thing, it was looking like their first back-to-back losses of the year, potentially, all this stuff. Clips came out, disjointed game, and then the infrastructure just went out. The Warriors are really, 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 really good at basketball. Did you watch that game?
I did. I watched the whole thing. The word for the Warriors, to me, is relentless. But I want to do a very quick shout-out to Dame Lillard. So that was an awesome performance right after the All-Star break. Dame sending a message, and I already made this observation. Hey, James Harden, suck on this. This is what it looks like against the best team in the league. I'm gonna drop it like it's hot from all over the joint, and he did it, and it was awesome. I saw on Twitter that it was heated up, and I jumped over to League Pass to watch a little bit of it. It was he did a Curry on Curry. I loved it. It was so good, so ballsy.
I like that the Warriors got a little salty about that they were getting a little too excited during that game, Portland. The Warriors, nobody gets more excited and struts and does all that stuff more than the Warriors do. But
that's right, and especially that bench. I mean, the bench is jumping up on when it's 6-4 and Klay Thompson nails a 3. All the bench is all up crazy. Take it easy, Warriors. Take it easy. But yeah, I watched that game Saturday night. I thought, why did the refs call it so close at the beginning?
I don't know. They took it out. And what's weird is they were calling it super close, and yet Chris Paul is allowed to just demolish anyone he's defending. He is the handsiest. I tweeted this during the game, and I don't know if it translates on TV as much as it does in person. He is the handsiest person, and he just starts doing it from the first quarter on. And the refs can either call it right away or they have to let it go. And once they let it go, that's it. He's all over. He's molesting Curry during these games.
The move that he makes on Curry is like a line of scrimmage chuck. He squares him up and he chucks him right at the top of the free throw circle.
He holds him. He grabs his jersey. He pushes him. He touches him. He's just always kind of touching him and making him uncomfortable. And then on the other end, he's really physical. Like he kind of tries to lurch into Curry because the Clips always try to get Curry to get a couple fouls early. But I will say, watching, this is the second time I've seen these teams play in person this year. And then last year when Curry had his MVP run. I noticed this as well. I think the whole thing pisses Chris Paul off. I think he carries
he takes
himself
it personally, right?
Yeah, it goes beyond that. I think he thinks he's better than Steph Curry. I think he's annoyed by this whole thing. The way he carries himself and the way he treats Curry is almost like Curry's on his corner. It's like Chris Paul's the last person who realizes that Steph Curry is the best player in basketball. Chris Paul really thinks he's better than Steph Curry. That was my takeaway from watching it for 2.5 hours.
I love it.
Yeah, I
mean,
did too.
The Clippers, through force of will, made it possible to have a shot to tie the game at the end of the game, and that was
gone.
Just will. That wasn't, anything but effort.
We had left at that point. It was a 12-point game with 3 minutes left, and Curry was out, and I had no idea that the Warriors A, almost blew the game, and B, did not cover. And that
was amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. So, I don't know if this is a huge problem, and I don't think it would hurt them in a 7-game series, but it does seem like they have trouble sometimes, the Warriors, defending these quick point guards who can get hot. And,
I watched it in person with John Wall. I mean, the reason that the Washington Almost Bullets hung in with the Warriors, the outcome was never in doubt, but Wall torched them. They had no answer for him. He got to the rim relentlessly. Yeah, we're never going to have a perfect basketball team. Right.
But all these teams, all the great teams have always had a hole or two. And it does seem like that's their hole. And, when you think about what this team is going to do during the regular season, can they roll off one of the best playoff runs ever? Can they go, 89-10, something like that? Can they get to 90 wins for regular season plus playoffs?
You hear me? I'm knocking on wood right now. Just knocking. Yeah. Come on, guys. Stay healthy. That's it. Knock on wood.
90 wins isn't inconceivable.
Not inconceivable.
You get 16 for the playoffs, so they'd have to go 74-9.
Yep.
And
74-8.
You're 74-8, right?
Yeah.
So conceivably, they could go 90-10 or 90-9 even if they rip through the playoffs. I do not think that they're going to break the Bulls' record. How about that for a hot take?
Okay. Why not?
House, I'm glad you asked. Here are their tough games left. They have 2 against OKC, 1 against February 27th in OKC, 1 at home, March 3rd. Is it fair to say they're going to split those?
I don't know. Did you just watch OKC? Recency bias warning. Recency bias warning. Did you watch the last 2 games of OKC?
Tate, is your mic on? I just heard you snicker. Turn your mic off.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Tate wants in.
Tate's right.
Let him in.
Tate, we'll come to you and we'll tell you when to turn your mic on. Rookie mistake by Tate. He's all excited.
Tate's fired up after the North Carolina thing last week. You guys gave him all that time on the ringer.
We're going to call on Tate because there's a couple of things we're going to hit him with. But
nice.
OKC, I didn't get too carried away from that game because sometimes their 3 through 12 guys just suck.
Well, it wasn't 1 game. It was 2 games.
The OKC?
Yeah, but lost to the Pacers at home with a lead in the fourth quarter. Lost to Cleveland at home.
Yeah, that's
not competitive.
When your supporting guys are up and down, like you can't ask Durant or Westbrook to just win 65 games by themselves, Well, anyway, I think they can split. Okay. I think they're going to split one of those 2.
Sure, fine.
March 18th, March 19th. They're at Dallas, at San Antonio, back to back. Feels like a split.
Feels like a split.
Now we're at 7 losses. Utah, March 30th, second game of a back-to-back away. And then in second week of April, Memphis 4-9, San Antonio 4-10, both away. Now, one more X factor. They haven't lost at home yet. They haven't played that random shit game at home. They actually played the shit game at home that they should have lost to Brooklyn. Brook Lopez missed like a little 2-footer at the end of the game. And that was also the one where Iggy hit a 3 with 5 seconds left, like some off
incredible
bounce
3.
Yeah, that was the shit game at home they should have lost. So they're due. And if you factor that in, and they have a lot of home games left, and I'm not sure which one will be the one, They also their schedule's a little stacked. They didn't play a lot of games compared, like the Celtics have played, I think 57 games already. So I don't know.
They've only played 54.
And the last part is the Draymond, Clay, or Steph injury. If they get one, a little sprained ankle for a week, little calf strain.
That's the one I'm knocking on wood for. I don't want that to happen, but that happens. That's basketball.
Right. So they're 49-5 right now. They have 28 games left, and they basically have to go 24-4.
Yeah.
Actually, to beat the Bulls, they'd have to go 25-3. I don't know. I don't see it. I would bet against it. I don't know what the odds are, but I would bet against it. You would bet for it, it sounds like.
No, they only need to win 24 games to beat the Bulls. 73.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 73 beats the Bulls. My bad. So 24-4.
Yeah, that's pretty. I'm just not ready at this point to rule it out. I'm not ruling anything out with this team. I mean, it remains to be seen whether we get a rolled ankle or somebody comes down with the flu. Speaking of the flu, God,
it's too hard.
I need to get over this. I'm done. But it's we don't know what we don't know, and those will be the things that derail it. The schedule stuff that you just described, I'm not blown away by the challenge of the Utah game, so I wouldn't count that as.
You know what game I didn't? You know what game I didn't mention?
What?
Celtics, Friday night 4-1. Oh yeah.
Where is that?
It's in Golden State.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't. That's not.
I'll tell you what team's going to show up with a lot of fight in their hearts. The Boston Celtics on April 1st. So another thing I noticed from that Clipper game, and granted, no Blake Griffin, who didn't play because he punched the equipment manager in the face repeatedly and broke his hand.
That happened?
Yeah, he wasn't in the game. Draymond just goes at DeAndre. I know DeAndre finished with good stats, but it didn't reflect what I actually watched in person at the game. Draymond just went at him. He was strutting around with Draymond swagger. Jay-Z and Beyonce were there. So Draymond from like the first 3 minutes was just chest puffed out, doing his whole thing. And well,
that's where the true, I think it's slightly underrated. One of to me, Draymond's true assets is how fast he is.
Yeah.
DeAndre couldn't keep up with him. Draymond kept penetrating. He kept getting the ball at the free throw line. He had a choice of pass, shoot, or penetrate. And a bunch of times he penetrated, and DeAndre could not keep up with that first step.
He just kept attacking him. And I just don't think you're going to beat the Warriors with DeAndre Jordan. I don't see it. I don't think anyone is going to beat this team unless they just match the smaller guy lineup. I don't think you beat this team with a center. They're just too good at exploiting whoever. And, I think like the destiny of OKC, I don't know what 5 OKC crunch time guys would you want against this team?
I mean, just OKC is a terrible matchup. I just don't see them. I conceded the split for the purposes of the argument about 73 wins or not. But
you think it's a terrible matchup for who?
OKC. They just
really?
Can't, I don't think you can name a 5 that's good enough.
They screwed it up again. God forbid they got a 5th guy for their crunch time 5. But Westbrook's a bad matchup for this Warriors team, and they can go Durant and Ibaka as their 2 big guys.
The Warriors have shown that they're willing to let even 2 players try and beat them.
Yeah.
Right? They'll let Durant and Westbrook have theirs. Both of those guys can combine for 65 or 70 points. The Warriors don't care. They dare the rest of OKC to beat them. And so far, OKC isn't even really that competitive in the games we've seen.
If you were OKC, would you have offered... What was that noise? You really are sick. Did you just blow your nose?
No. Oh. I don't think that was me.
Oh, all right. If you were OKC, would you have offered Brooklyn kind of a little bit of a Godfather offer for Brook Lopez? Maybe a little Cantor, Dion Waiters, your number 1 pick.
I think it's too late. This trade deadline for the teams that are really in contention, it wasn't the kind of trade deadline where it seemed like it would make sense for the top 4 or 5 teams to greatly alter the chemistry.
You wouldn't have tried to get
they
Brook
all
Lopez?
made the decision. Huh?
You wouldn't have tried to get Brook Lopez? That guy's playing great this year. He's single-handedly murdering the Celtics pick. He's won 6 Nets games by himself.
OKC has been on a crazy tear. I think they're now like 16-5 or 15-5 over their last 20-some games. They've been great. I don't know how you take a player like Lopez and seamlessly incorporate him in without taking some lumps on what the identity of the team is. And Billy Donovan has, to his credit, I think been this is going to sound like faint praise, but he's been better than Scotty Brooks on the offensive side of things.
No, there's no question. But you just told me you didn't like the way they played the last 2 games.
I did not like the way they played the last 2 games, but I just don't think you can make a great big change in chemistry at this point in the season when you're on the brink. You're one of the top 4 or 5 teams. It's just too much risk to me.
That's fair. The biggest missed opportunity of the trade deadline was I really think Portland should have traded for Dwight Howard.
That's interesting.
That trade was just sitting there. It was Miles Plumlee and somebody else, and you saved the Rockets a ton of money, and you just make kind of a half-hearted, let's see what it looks like 3-month run. Because the way their 2 guards are playing, this feels a little sacrilegious, but it's starting to remind me a little of the KJ Hornacek Suns. Remember that?
Oh.
Going way back, like 89, 90, when it was just like these 2 guards and they're just going to score 50 points a game and do stuff and get the crowd into it and really hard to match up. And they made a little run. I think it was 90 when they made a run. I think they made the conference finals. But
it's pretty crazy with the Blazers. 538 has them projected out at 43-39 and a 91% chance of making the playoff. And so your thesis, why not get Dwight, rent him for 3 months, see what kind of noise we can make in the playoffs. We have an excellent chance of making the playoffs. We're really clicking. Dwight could be an addition, and that's not a situation where I would worry about the chemistry aspect of it. And then you come to the off season, and as long as the price was fair, I'm not sure if you could do it with who'd you say, Miles Plumlee and who else?
Mason Plumlee. They have one of the Plumlees. I think they have Mason.
There's Marshall, Miles, Mason. Just too many. I can't. Come on.
It's a rental. You're renting Dwight for 3 months. You're seeing what it looks like, seeing if he clicks, seeing if the soccer moms can get him going. So I'm very focused on the tail end of the Western Conference because the Celtics have Dallas's pick.
Yeah.
It's top 7 protected. Dallas is 30-27. We're taping this on a Monday morning. Portland's 29-27. Houston's 28-28 in the 8th seed. And then Utah's 27-28. And I think Utah's going to make a run because they're finally healthy. And the Portland-Utah last night was excellent. I don't know if you saw that one, but
I didn't see it.
Fourth quarter of that one was really good. And I think both of those teams are playoff teams. I think Dallas is going to drop out.
You think Dallas, not Houston, will be the one that drops out?
I think Dallas is going to drop out. I think Houston's gonna play better as the year goes along because Harden. I know you took a shot at him earlier, but I still think Harden's one of the best 7 guys in the league. I mean, you just watch them just game to game, all the stuff he does for that team. He's one of the best 7, 8 offensive players. He's definitely one of the best 5 offensive players, but I think from an impact standpoint, he's in the top 8.
Yeah, I'm just angry with him. That's all.
I know
don't
you
dispute
are.
anything having to do with his talent or what he brings to the table. He's the only guy on that team. He is the engine. There's no other engine on that team, which confounds me still.
Can I defend him for a second?
Go ahead.
He made the mistake of dating Khloe Kardashian.
We talked about that.
And Dwight Howard's his teammate. And he's got a weird team with a bunch of guys that I'm not sure who's good on that team. Like, just go guy by guy in that team. Ty Lawson's not good.
Well, Beverly used to be good. What happened?
Beverly got hurt last year, and he's fine.
Montezunas can't stay healthy. He was a big
hurt.
contributor last season.
Terrence Jones has been terrible.
Terrence Jones has been terrible.
Like, really terrible. I actually thought he was going to be a good basketball player. I thought he was going to be, an on-the-rise guy. But Capella's pretty good, I guess.
I like Capella, but he's
pretty good.
A solid role player.
But you just go guy by guy. Like, who's good in that team? I don't know.
Well, they were good last season. That's the thing that's so confusing.
I guess.
They played well together.
So the Clips are at a real crossroads. And the Jeff Green trade, which I didn't love, and then when I actually watched him in person on Saturday and was just kind of seeing how he fit in, and it was a good trade because it was a protected pick, and what he gives them is more important to them than what Lance Stevenson gave them, which is he's got some size. Like, they can play small ball forward with him. They posted him up. It's funny because after like the fifth Jeff Green ISO, I think he was like 1 for 5 on the ISOs. By the fifth one, everyone in my section was grumbling. They were like, all right, enough. Because it's bad enough that they have to run plays for DeAndre Jordan on the low post, which are just absolutely a disaster every time. But Jeff Green, not really the greatest ISO guy either. And they lost. The reality is they should have gotten annihilated in that game, but Jamal Crawford made a 4-point play. He made a ridiculous 3-point. He got hot for like 2 minutes, and it kind of kept the Clips around.
I love that version of Jamal Crawford. That gives me a tingle.
Yeah. I think he's fool's gold.
The thing that's crazy, why is Jeff Green so much better than Josh Smith? They tried. You know, the Clippers, to their credit, Doc tried to build a bench entering this season. Josh Smith, propelled the Rockets to the brink of the Western Conference finals there.
Because he can't shoot. You can't play him and DeAndre together because neither one of them can shoot. The Green felt like a better fit. I'm not sure. Oh, here's the other thing, and I said this on the podcast on Thursday. Like, I do think he was Blake insurance in case Blake isn't able to come back, but. The whole team, the demeanor of the team, the body language, just watching them in the timeouts and stuff, it seems like a team that knows that they don't have it. And
who, the Clippers? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought they had a little chip on their shoulder, I thought, that whole game.
Nah, Chris did. I don't think that team did. I think.
Well, Redick was playing his ass off too, and was really angry about the fouls that were getting called.
Yeah, he had some bad calls, and he's played really well this year. I don't know. The fans don't feel like they have it. You can
Crawford
just feel
had a
it
great
in the
game
stands.
too.
Did he though?
Oh, you were there. You were feeling the vibe in the building.
I don't know if Crawford had a great game. I think he made a couple great shots.
Okay.
I think the more they rely on Jamal Crawford, the more fool's gold it is. I just don't love the team. I want to like it because we have tickets. It would be fun to keep going to playoff games. But
what if Blake comes back in April
with his broken shooting hand?
First week of April. We're still 6 weeks out.
Crawford had a good quote about this. He was like, basically, this is it. It's year 5. Chris has been here 5 years. They haven't even made a round 3 yet. I do think there's some urgency, and I just don't love DeAndre.
Well, they acknowledge the urgency.
Would they have been better off if DeAndre had just signed with Dallas? Am I crazy to think that?
Seems unlikely. How could they have been better off? It's impossible to break out the DeAndre variable. What would the replacement have been?
See, that's
how would
the
they
thing.
have protected the rim? How would they have rebounded?
Now, forget all that stuff. They couldn't have replaced them because they were so far over the cap. It's almost like they were better off getting them, but I don't know. I don't like what I see. And I think the Warriors never for 1 second thought they were losing that game, which would worry me if I'm the Clips. And I know they didn't have Blake, but it just, the whole time they just felt like, they were there. So the Eastern Conference, the Celtics are in the 3 spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's got this Chris Bosh thing. Who knows what's going to happen with them? They're 4. Indiana is in the 5 spot. Atlanta's kind of free-falling. All that trade deadline stuff, it seemed like it screwed them up. And then Charlotte and Chicago are the last 2, and Detroit's on the edge. And then there are your Wizards at the 10 spot.
Right.
You almost had a stroke last week because it seemed like for 1 second that there was a chance your team might be dumb enough to trade for Dwight Howard, but that didn't happen.
That was the best thing that happened to me all week last week was that Dwight Howard did not come to Washington. Right,
because you actually would have had to give up something for Dwight Howard. You would have had to give up Gortat.
It would have been Gortat, that pick, and probably one other guy, maybe somebody like Otto Porter or something.
Yeah.
Just to get in the neighborhood of the salary.
Can you think of a worse fit than than the Wizards fans and Dwight Howard?
Oh my God! Well, the Washington Post beat writer observed, and I think it was after the comment that John Wall made about the fans getting more excited for a chicken sandwich than for a win. The Washington Post beat writer observed how quiet the building is, and what a sort of lack of energy. And I mean, I would, my gentle rebuttal is like, okay, after the last 35 years of futility and outsized contracts and very bad luck with health, we guilty as charged. Although when the team is good, when the product is good, the city shows out. I mean, when we had the little run with Arenas and Karan and Antoine Jameson and a little bit of a rivalry with Cleveland going, that was exciting. Buildings were packed. Energy was high. The last 2 years of playoffs, Washington, winning in each of the first rounds, those playoff crowds have been solid, not embarrassing.
Right.
Properly attuned to the game. Smart basketball crowd here in the DMV. But, this idea that because Washington's kind of Dudsville regular season-wise, and especially anytime you get a team like this one that has high expectations and comes in and underperforms, people are out. That's a DC thing. You have high expectations and don't meet them. That's it. Nobody goes. Everybody's out. So, it is quiet. Dwight would have been terrible here. Terrible here. People would have been mad.
Would you?
Mad.
Would you have rather traded for Tobias Harris or Markieff Morris?
I love Tobias Harris. I've liked him for a long time.
Me
too. The difference in age between the two would have tipped me towards Tobias. I don't know what the price was, whether Washington could have come up with the price to get Tobias.
Well, he just went for 2 expiring. So if you'd used the first-round pick, the protected pick you gave for Markieff, and thrown the Nene expiring, wouldn't that have been a better trade than what Detroit gave up?
It on the face of it, yes. I don't know whether or not Washington had any conversations with Orlando. I'm still pissed that Channing Frye is somewhere other than here. I've been pissed about it for 2 years now.
Yeah, that is. Although he hasn't been good in 2 years, so maybe it worked out.
Well,
he
was hurt the season before, and he's still a plus player when he's on the court. For net rating, he's still a plus player because of the spacing that he represents.
Yeah,
and for a team like Washington that had a goal of adopting a pace and pace, style of play, and then brought in players not really capable of effectuating that, and splitting up Nene and Gortat, as a defensive force. That plus the injuries for Washington makes for this lackluster season. But
when does Bradley Beal come back?
I would prefer Tobias is the answer.
When does Bradley Beal come back? Because I see a big 33 next to him.
That's not nice.
I see a 33 rude. Next to him, which is for games played, which is 21 less than John Wall.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been going on since he entered the league. I mean, when's the first season that he's going to play 82 games or 80 games?
Did it give you a boner when you saw John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins sitting next to each other at the slam dunk contest?
I pretend I don't see things like that. It's too much of a tease. I can't handle it. I see it and I just pretend I didn't see it. I unsee it.
So, are we headed for the most boring first round in the history of the playoffs?
Who knows? There's still
give me a first round,
30 games to play.
Give me a first round matchup you're excited about.
Let's go through the way these things are.
Here it is right now. Let's just say it ended right now. Here are your matchups: Cleveland and Chicago, Toronto and Charlotte, the Celtics and the Hawks, and the Heat and the Pacers. That is a catastrophe.
I don't like.
Oh my God! I'm a Celtics fan, and I don't want to watch that first round.
Yeah.
So then, the West has Golden State, Houston. Get your broom ready for that one.
Yeah.
San Antonio, Portland's kind of fun.
Portland, wherever
Portland's fun.
Up,
Yeah,
that's
the
one
Portland.
I'm interested in.
Yeah, Portland's fun. I like Portland.
Yeah.
Portland's turned into a good league pass team. OKC and Dallas. Jesus. That's a sweep. And then Clips Grizzlies. Does anyone want to see another Clips Grizzlies series? Because I know I don't.
It's like it's the 30th time of that knockdown drag out Clips Grizzlies.
It's like the homeless man's version of the Knicks Heat series from the late 90s that just never seemed to end. Now we're getting Clippers Grizzlies for the 90th time. That is an awful, awful first round. Now, hopefully some of the matchups will knock around.
There'll be some stuff that makes it a little interesting.
So what's the most fun team that could play Golden State in round one? I think it's Portland.
I agree, because I don't think Utah is ready yet. They're not mature enough.
Yeah, they're down 2 last night against Portland, and with like 20 seconds left, and their play to try to send it in overtime was to have Derek Favors back up and throw a jump hook off the backboard. I didn't like it. Wasn't
not
a fan.
Great one.
Yeah, not a fan. Not the one I would have called.
Yeah, Utah Golden State would be like the Pelicans Golden State last year. You know, interesting, little some plot lines, but still sweet.
So the Pelicans are 5 games back in the loss column.
They're out.
You're out. You're right. You're wiping them out. Okay.
Out. You said the Pelicans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an astounding performance last night by AD. One for the ages.
Did you see how bad his teammates were in that game?
I did not. I saw the highlights. I didn't watch it happening live.
I'm just going to give you – hold on. I'm going to give you the actual – these were his teammates for that game. This was the starting lineup was Dante Cunningham, Omer Ashik, Norris Cole, and Dijon Jones. That was his starting 5. Coming off the bench.
Which one of those other guys is a legit NBA player, would you say?
None of them. We're 0 for 4. So then,
I mean, I agree.
Then coming off the bench, Drew Holiday, who's been playing great lately, and Ryan Anderson, who went 1 for 12.
Oh.
Tony Douglas, who's been on almost every team in the league. I think there's 5 left. Alexis Ajinka.
He was supposed to be something.
Alonzo Gee, and
wow, we've had him.
And the corpse of Kendrick Perkins. Coach's decision, Luke Babbitt.
That is an awful basketball team.
It's an awful team. It's one of the worst teams. I mean, how do you put up a 59-20 with those teammates?
I've been complaining about the talent deficit here in Washington and how, a little too much Ramon Sessions, Garrett Temple, Otto Porter rotation for my liking. But what you just described, I mean, goodness gracious.
I have a question. I know you're sick. I have very few goals in life, but here's one of them. I want everyone in the world to stop overpaying for good shaves. Are you overpaying for good shaves?
Probably. Way to really sell it, huh? I have the Gillette with the double blades, and the cartridges are like $25.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So I would say the answer to that is yes. I'm overpaying for good shave.
That sounds like you're overpaying. So the good people at Harry's, they sent me a shaving kit a few months ago, and I've been using their blades ever since. Close shave, no shaving cuts, none. Everything I wanted, because I get those little neck cuts.
You do. You've been getting them since college.
I know. Why pay $32 for an 8-pack of blades, which is what you're obviously doing? When you can get them for half the price at Harry's. The Harry's starter set is a fantastic deal. $15. You get a razor, you get moisturizing shave cream, you get 3 razor blades, and you even get $5 off your first order with promo code BS. Go to harrys.com right now, enter promo code BS at checkout. Your face will appreciate it. And as anyone who is in my life knows, I do not have those cuts on my neck anymore.
Yeah, maybe I need to get some Harry's in my life.
100%
Harry's on my face.
Remember, Jack always used to have a joke about how it should be a television show to watch me shave because I would put way too much shave cream on my face. And then I'd cut my neck in 7 places.
There's your coughing fit.
Yeah, there it goes. So we got like 28 games. I had probably 7 weeks left in the NBA season. Other than this Golden State thing, is there anything you're excited about? Do you like watching my Celtics? I think my Celtics are turning into a little bit of an America's team. Probably not. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much.
Definitely not. I'm very happy.
You don't appreciate guts and hard work and good coaching?
the good coaching is something that I definitely appreciate. They didn't address the problem that they have had for 2 years now, and I don't begrudge them not overpaying for somebody at the trade deadline, but they still have a crunch time scoring problem. But I'm very impressed. We were bullish on the Celtics before the season started. We both liked
Yeah, we're going to win
over
that one.
43.5 or 44. We both loved that. And, all credit to them. They play their asses off. Coach Stevens is terrific. He's probably like a +5 wins coach. Is there a stat out there? Is there a wins above replacement for coaches?
I think he's like +6 or 7.
Yeah,
he has
sure.
to be. Hey, would you have traded the Brooklyn pick for Okafor?
Yes.
I think
definitely.
I think I would have too.
Definitely.
I think the Celtics wanted to as well.
He can play.
Yeah.
I saw him live in San Antonio in November. I like him.
Dirty secret about Okafor and the Celtics, but I can't believe Philly didn't do that. It just cut bait because
you really put that on the table?
Oh, that was on the table.
Oh.
Philly, there was on Friday, Ainge gave a radio interview and said they had a deal for the Brooklyn pick, they thought, and then the other team backed out, and that it was Okafor. And I think Philly's.
Why wouldn't they want the increased chance at Ben Simmons?
Philly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
2 shots at Ben Simmons that way. Greatly enhanced the ping pong ball odds.
So, what that told me is that the Celtics don't like this draft.
Huh.
Because if you watch Ben Simmons, he just won't shoot. I mean, I want it to work.
I think we can agree, though, that has everything to do with that situation. Now, he deserves to be criticized, he and whoever is in his corner, for choosing LSU. I mean, I get that they wanted to do something unconventional.
Oh, I was so scared when you said I get, because that could have gone in about 45 different directions. He ended up on a team with a mediocre supporting cast and a really bad coach, like a Rick Barnes with Kevin Durant level bad coach, who just like you watch the games and you just get mad. I get mad every time I watch an LSU game.
I stopped watching. After that, what was it? The LSU Oklahoma game? That was it. I put it down. I said that I'm putting the remote down. I'm not watching LSU anymore this season.
Somebody had a good piece. I'm sorry I can't give you the credit. I can't remember where I read it about how the last half of the lottery last year is actually better than this draft.
Oh.
How when you go from Stanley Johnson, Winslow, Kaminsky, Miles Turner, Trey Lyles, Devin Booker, all those guys would be in the conversation for like top 7. And with this draft, it's like Ben Simmons, who refuses to take jump shots anymore. Brandon Ingram, who's like 14 years old. And then
I like his game, by the way.
The Oklahoma
tell Tate to cover his ears. I like what I saw in that. I know he went 7 for 21 against Carolina, but I thought he had big balls. I like Ingram's game.
I like his game too, and it's might be in play now, him versus Simmons. Like Simmons probably isn't even going to make the tournament. You know,
you still take Ben Simmons 11 times out of 10.
I think
He's
so.
He's dying for a coach. He's dying for a situation where he can learn some basketball.
I hope he has the drive to go into a gym and shoot 10,000 jumpers a day. Would be my hope.
We had this conversation about Wiggins, and it worked out okay.
Did it?
What do you mean? Did
it?
Wiggins is awesome.
Is he?
Yes, he is. He's awesome. Okay,
is he really?
I mean, Minnesota is. I like Minnesota.
I do too. Why aren't they better? Why don't they win games?
Because their coach and GM passed away at the beginning of the season. They threw them in a complete disarray.
They have Wiggins and Towns on the same team. Shouldn't they win games every once in a while?
I don't know how. They also KG is a nice veteran, mentor. They could have used another guy like that. Kevin Martin, I don't think fits the bill, who could actually play.
I really like Wiggins. It bothers me that his team doesn't win.
There's a little with it.
There's a driftiness that he has that I also see with Ben Simmons, where on the flip side you see somebody like Draymond who's like, Jay-Z is here. I'm gonna play out of my mind, and I'm gonna attack
really
DeAndre
tough,
Jordan.
Though. I don't like that comparison. Draymond got drafted in the second round. You know, he's out there proving everybody wrong every single time he steps on the floor.
You're proving my point. Wiggins was the number one pick, and Ben Simmons is going to be the number one pick. Who does he have to prove wrong? The best thing that could happen to Ben Simmons would be going second if some NBA team said, you know what, Brandon Ingram's better than you. That'd be the greatest thing that ever happened to Ben Simmons. Instead, he's going to miss the tournament, and he's going to go first anyway, even though he won't shoot a jump shot anymore. Tate. All right, turn your mic on, Tate. Tate, you watch college basketball.
Yeah, I do.
Who would you take, Ben Simmons or Brandon Ingram?
I would take Simmons just for upside.
Just for upside?
Just for upside and personality.
Does he seem soft to you?
Yes.
Do you feel like he has the eye of the tiger when things are going wrong, where he's like, all right, guys, get out of my way. I'm going to take this over?
Not right now. Not yet.
Does Ingram have that?
Ingram wants to take the shot. Have
you recovered from Duke beating North Carolina yet?
No.
It's been 5 days?
Yeah, it's been 5 days. Wednesday night.
House, controversial email I got. Actually, I got two different readers emailed wondering why Tate was so upset that the Panthers lost the Super Bowl when he's a professed Jets fan.
That is true.
Wow.
Tate, your response?
My response is I always did pull for the Jets, but I'm a Cam Newton fan first. That was my number one. That's my heart. It's my favorite athlete in the world.
Sports bigamy. It's a shame, House. It's a shame.
The kids these days.
Kids these days. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is a bad draft. And unfortunately, the Celtics have a top 5 pick and possibly another lottery pick from Dallas, and this might be the worst draft in a while. I'm bummed.
I'm not ready to pronounce it a bad draft.
Well, I was exchanging emails with Chad Ford this weekend, who I've forgiven for appearing in the trade value column. And this is right around the time when everybody just hates the draft, right?
Yeah.
Late February. Yeah. Everybody's just, these guys suck. This guy sucks. This draft's
That's
awful.
Right.
And then it'll come around.
We're going to see the tournament. We're going to see guys under the bright lights. I'm really psyched to see Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield's got a lot of Dwayne Wade in him. I really think that he's going to be a tough SOB. I think he's got a go-to-the-rim aspect to him that he doesn't have to deploy in college, but that I think he'll be more than willing to go ahead and trot out in the pros. I'm very bullish on Buddy.
I like Buddy, too. And I like what I've heard about the Providence guard.
Yeah.
He's the other one that seems. But, yeah, this is right around the time where you and I start watching a lot of college basketball and we become enamored by certain kids.
Right, we'll fall in love with a half dozen guys.
Yeah, I'm sure there's 2 guys on that weird Kentucky team that'll end up being good too.
Right.
It's hard to say who. All right, so you would have traded the Brooklyn pick for Okafor.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I think I would have too. God, is he terrible on defense? I was watching some of him last night.
Well, that's where Coach Stevens comes in.
He might be a good stats, bad team guy. That might just be his destiny.
It's impossible to say. He plays for the Sixers.
He might be like
a historically bad team on a historically bad run.
Anything else? Did we cover everything? I'm going to call Sepinwall.
Nice. TV with Sepinwall.
Are we done?
We got it all, I think.
All right, good. All right, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, House.
Nice. Talk to you, boys.
Before we call on Sepinwall, I want to discuss our friends at SoFi. It's a new wave company that's designed for the 21st century, unlike the big banks. Actually, because SoFi is not a bank, they can provide services and rates that the banks cannot. They won't judge you by your FICO score, but by your potential and by your promise. And they would absolutely, if they felt like it was warranted, back you for life. So if you've just invested in an emu farm, if you get your financial advice from fortune cookies, if you think 401k is an internet speed, if you see the lottery as a possible retirement plan, or if you're currently investing in a Nigerian prince, you definitely should not go to SoFi.com. But if you're interested in being backed by somebody who believes in your potential, I would go to SoFi.com. Discover why banks aren't the future of banking anymore. SoFi.com. Terms and conditions apply. NMLS number 1121636. Again, that is SoFi.com. All right, as promised from HitFix.com. One of the original pop culture guest we used to have on the old BS report on ESPN.com, and now he's here. Alan Sepinwall, how are you?
I'm good, Bill. How you doing?
Nice TV run right now. Some stuff's happening. TV's looking good.
TV's looking good. It's just there's too much of it, but that's a high class problem to have.
So give me your power rankings. Favorite show right now?
Favorite show right now, probably Broad City.
Broad City? What channel's
Broad
that
City's
on?
hilarious.
What channel?
Comedy Central.
Oh. What was the one? Magic City was Stars.
Yeah, Magic City.
I got confused for a second.
At the top of any power ranking.
I'm old. Okay, so Broad City. How many seasons? How much do I have to catch up on?
It's in the third season. They do 10 episodes a season. It's not much. It's really funny. It's these two actresses, Abby Jacobson and Alana Glazer. They were doing a web series, and Amy Poehler found it and said, these two are hysterical. We should get them a TV show, and she produces it. It's really good.
Number 2 in the power rankings.
Well, I mean, does the Triumph special count as a show or just a special? Because that's one of the best things I've seen lately.
Probably a special. I almost wish they had split it up over 3 half-hour shows. It was too good. It was like having this 19-course dinner that after 9 courses, I couldn't eat it anymore, and I kept stuffing my face. It was great.
It was. It was painful, but really, really good. Let's see. So number 2, if we're not counting that, what the hell? I'm going to go with Horace and Pete, which is the Louis C.K. Digital series he's doing.
And how many episodes of that? Were there 3 in, 4 in now?
They're 4 in now, and they release every Saturday. Nobody knows how many there are going to be. He doesn't tell anybody anything about it. They just sort of appear in your inbox on Saturday morning. Give
us the background of this Horace and Pete thing, because there was no fanfare whatsoever. Didn't he release it on Saturday of the Super Bowl?
I think so, yeah. Suddenly I start seeing these tweets from people saying, did you know that Louis C.K. did a new show? And I didn't know what they were talking about. And I downloaded it. It's great. Basically it's like a series of filmed plays. It's him, Steve Buscemi, Edie Falco, Alan Alda, Jessica Lange, all hanging around in this dive bar in Brooklyn. It's not really a comedy, although there's some funny bits in it. It's very serious, very stagey, and really good.
And what do you think was his motivation in doing this?
I think he wanted to try something he hadn't quite done. I know Louis is a big fan of TV and the history of TV. This feels a lot like a throwback. In the 1950s, that's what TV drama was. They would just film plays like, Requiem for a Heavyweight or 12 Angry Men and things like that.
Is this a sign that maybe the Louis FX show doesn't come back?
The sense I'm getting is if it comes back, it's going to be a while because he doesn't have any ideas for it. I think he went through that last season really quickly, and the deal he has is it's the Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm deal, is when he has an idea, he can do it, and when he doesn't, he doesn't. And right now, he certainly sounds a lot more jazzed about this.
Right. How about American Crime?
American Crime I did a 180 on. I didn't finish the first season, sort of admired it but didn't like it, felt the same way at the start of the second season, and then I kept going, and now that would be probably like 3rd or 4th in these power rankings. It's incredible.
I think it's been extraordinary this season. I liked last season too. I was into it, but I binge watched last season. I don't know if I would have liked it as much if I was just watching once a week. This season, not to give too much away, just in case people haven't watched it. We're going to try not to spoil any TV. Maybe if we spoil stuff, we'll do it at the end. But the character whose mom decides that something happened and that he was assaulted, and that's kind of the rabbit hole that the whole storyline goes down. That character I've become incredibly attached to, and everything kind of culminated last week. And what I thought was, my heart was pounding. Like, I don't remember watching a TV show in a couple of years where I felt like my blood racing and I was really uncomfortable and unhappy. And it just was so well done. I was really impressed.
No, that's exactly how I felt. Like I forgot to breathe for a little while there watching that episode. The actor playing the kid is Connor Jessup. He's amazing, and I think that's the difference I feel between this year and last year's. Last year I could sort of admire everything it was doing, but I didn't feel connected to any of it. It felt more like, okay, this is a thing about important issues, and here, like, I think this kid and the other kid, Eric, have really given the show a little bit more humanity and a bit more of an emotional connection, and now it messes me up the way The Wire used to.
Yeah. And without giving too much away, the plot that happened with Eric in the last episode, I did not like. I actually didn't think they should have. I didn't think they should have done that. But everything that's going on with this other kid, and I gotta be honest, like I don't know who the top Emmy contender is for this show. And maybe network TV, it's really hard to win. I know Regina King won last year, but Lily Taylor was incredible in this last episode. I think the kid is great. And Felicity Huffman has finally found her destiny. She's playing the most hateful character I can remember in a while, other than out of like Game of Thrones. But this is like she's just finally mastered it. Hate this person.
I like that the character from season 1 and season 2 seems so different. Like that last year she was very poor. This year she's wealthy and polished, and yet she's the worst person on both seasons. That's hysterical.
Yeah, she's good, and the way they film it is really cool. It's distinct. Like they'll just keep the camera on one character the whole time. And it'll be a whole scene, 3 minutes, where it'll just be like one camera angle, and that's just like kind of one of the distinctions of how they do this series. And it's cool. It's different. It's kind of feels a little more intimate, like we're like voyeurs watching it or something.
I mean, what's great about it is John Ridley, the guy who created it, he won the Oscar for writing 12 Years a Slave, and he's been a writer for a long time, and it turns out he's a better director than he is a writer. I mean, it looks amazing. Yeah.
Better Call Saul, you love this show.
Yeah, Better Call Saul, that would be third or fourth there. That's a lot of fun. It came back last week, second episode tonight, which I've also seen, really good. Bob Odenkirk is just like a revelation. Like we always knew he was funny, but he's a really good dramatic lead too.
Second season is better than the first season, I heard.
I mean, it's early yet, but it feels like, it's like with Breaking Bad. They know a little bit more about what they're doing and how to use all the characters and stuff. I mean, it's never going to be Breaking Bad because, Saul can't be that kind of character, but it feels really confident so far.
Girls came back last night. Big wedding. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It's just a show that just keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder. It does feel like, is this the last season?
No, next to last season. There's going to be one more next year.
So what'd you think of that one?
I thought it was pretty good, and I've seen the first 4. I think they're good. It's like Girls as a show, like it started out, they were all 22, 23, and it's about that really specific time in your life. I feel like they're struggling a little bit with the fact that they're getting older and trying to be more mature, and that's giving them some material. But it's less surprising, and it feels a little bit less specific than it did. But I still enjoy it a lot. It's funny.
Yeah, that's a good point. When they created the show, the whole point was that it was like that time in your life, you're out of college. What the hell do I do next? And now all those people are in their late 20s.
Yeah, and that's very different. Like, Louis, he could keep doing episodes of that every 10 years, and it would feel like basically the same show. But there's such a huge difference between being 22 and being 27.
One thing I really like about Girls is how distinct the characters are, and how there's enough of a history with them now where certain choices that are made make sense for what my history with the character is. Like when Adam Driver's character, when he makes a move on Jemima Kirk, it's totally something that he would do, right? You're like he's misreading the signals. There's no way she would ever sleep with him, and yet he kind of goes for it anyway because that's just what that character is. He's a dumbass.
It also feels like they don't know what to do with him because they don't want to lose Adam Driver because he's great and now he's Kylo Ren, but they don't know what else. So it's like, we'll have him hook up with another girl.
But it's not going to go anywhere, though. I don't think. I would be surprised.
We'll see about that.
Oh no, you've seen episodes.
I can't say. I'm just familiar with Girls.
All right, fair enough. How about Love with Gillian Jacobs?
I liked that a lot. I mean, it's like Judd Apatow co-created it with some other people, and his movies always kind of run long, and so when you put them on Netflix and episodes can be whatever length that you want, you run into the problem. Like the first episode is 40 minutes, which is not a great length for a TV comedy. But after that, it gets really good, and Gillian Jacobs and Paul Rudd, the two actors, have good chemistry together, and I raced through all 10 episodes of that in like 2 days.
Well, Judd Apatow is my spirit animal because my columns were always too long. So I always feel like he's having the TV career I would have had. All my episodes would have been too long. Would you call it a star-making performance by her?
I guess in that I think some people know of her, but not a lot of people were watching Community. So, and Netflix is the flavor of the moment. So her being in a Netflix show is going to be a bigger deal than her being in a really low-rated NBC show. And she's really good in this as a character who is such a hot mess. I think Apatow told me originally they were going to call this show Trainwreck, and then he decided to borrow the title for the Amy Schumer movie. But it applies almost even more here for her than it does for Schumer in the film.
Where'd you stand on Casual?
Oh, Casual. I like that a lot. Michaela Watkins, the Hulu show. That's one that's weird because Hulu is the one streaming channel that doesn't release all the episodes at once, which for the most part I'm good with. But that show feels like it should be binged. Like I had the screeners for all of it at once, and I think if I hadn't had 4 or 5 in a row, I would have stopped. But I kept going, and she was fantastic.
I got late into it and binged it, and you're right. It's better as a binge. I don't think waiting once a week for it would have been that helpful, but she's great in it. And this decade is really the era of like the flawed female character whose life is a train wreck in movies and TV. It just seems like that's the recurring character, and I'm not sure why, but it's one of the reasons that I really appreciate Maggie Siff's character in Billions, because she's not like that. Even though believe me, she has her own picadillos.
Yes, she does.
But at least she's not, this kind of train wreck that's just going from point A to point B to point C, just trying to keep it all together for 5 minutes. She's, in a pretty precarious position, handling it pretty well so far. What do you think of that show?
I think she's the best thing on that show. I had a weird experience with that. Again, like I get lots of these screeners all at once, so I'm binging things even if they're meant to air weekly. And because I had 6 of them, I went out starting like, okay, I like Damien Lewis, I like Paul Giamatti, I like Maggie Siff, but I don't know why I'm supposed to care about any of this or why Paul Giamatti cares about this guy versus 6 other guys. And then, like, I'd watch 3 or 4 of them, and then I just wanted to know what happened next. And so it's a little bit like Stockholm Syndrome. You spend enough time with the show, and you just start to see its point of view. But I think she's great. Like, a show that was about her, I would have liked, I think, from the start without reservations.
My feeling, has there been 5? Or 6?
Maybe. I've seen
5 or
6, so I lose track.
It felt like last week's episode and then the one that was on last night, the show kind of figured out what it was. And sometimes I wonder with these things, because specifically Damien Lewis, who plays Bobby Axelrod, high-priced guy, high-priced billionaire, he's making moves. But it seemed like he finally figured out that character about 4 episodes in, and his performances in the last 2 episodes were really good. I finally felt like he wasn't Brody playing a billionaire.
Well, the thing that sort of I struggled with a little bit is I always used to think he was the best of all the different British actors who they have coming over here and playing American, but it turns out it was because he usually doesn't play characters who talk a lot, and he talks a lot in this, and you can tell, like, oh, no, he's British trying to fake it. And I think in the last couple episodes, he's been a little bit more mysterious as he's plotting moves, and people have to guess what he's doing, and so maybe they figured out, too, like, let's not have this guy talk quite as much.
I have a hot take though. I don't love Giamatti in this show.
It's kind of cartoon Giamatti. It's like let's get a Paul Giamatti type, but we'll just hire Paul Giamatti.
It's like Private Parts Paul Giamatti. He's basically he's Pig Vomit as a district attorney. He could scale it back like about 18%, and I also don't really want Paul Giamatti in sex clubs and getting in S&M scenes and stuff. Like, it's just not the part of Paul. I'd rather see him in a John Adams wig, just trying to read with candlelight or something. Not really ready for the whips.
Where he lectures the guy about the dog poop that he didn't scoop. I mean, that was Pig Vomit. You might as well have told them, to pronounce WNBC.
Right. I don't know who I would have. I know you can't say no to Paul Giamatti. I just wonder, was there a better person to cast in that role who maybe, if you're going to have somebody's sexual dark side be that big of the character, then maybe Paul Giamatti's not the guy, But I don't know who the guy is. I'd have to think about it. But it would have to be somebody. It's the same problem I had with Eyes Wide Shut, where for different reasons, but Cruz and Eyes Wide Shut, I never felt like Cruz had this mysterious sexual dark side that he was ready to explore parties because he was Tom Cruise. You know, you're not with me.
No, I've just never seen Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh no, really?
You know, it's me and Kubrick. We have sort of an ambivalent relationship.
Oh, all right. Well, I think Billions is. It's an enjoyable hour, you know. It's stuff happens. People are rich. Guys are yelling at each other. There's an S&M club. There's a lot going on. I'm also fascinated by The Office, like Axe Capital or whatever it's called. They have this screens with I can't decide if it's too nice of an office or not nice enough for considering how much money they're making. But that's the biggest Showtime hit we've had, right? Other than Homeland?
Not ever. I mean, Dexter and Homeland were really big hits for a while, and I think Shameless might be doing a little bit better than Billions right now, but they're both doing well, and they're doing better than Vinyl is for sure.
Really? Dexter is doing better than Billions was?
No, Dexter was like a big hit. That's why that ran forever, and he became a lumberjack at the end, because it was too successful to just end when the story should have.
I never knew Dexter was a hit.
No, Dexter was a huge hit. That's why it ran that many seasons.
Oh, wow.
That's the defining hit of Showtime.
Wow. Well, the Lithgow season was fantastic. I still stand by the Lithgow season. The rest of it has not aged well. It's not. If you see it, it definitely ran too long. Where do you stand on Vinyl? How many have you seen?
I've seen either 5 or 6. I'm mixed on it. There are parts of it I like a lot. There are parts of it that just make me roll my eyes and think, like, okay, I've seen this 10 million times in either Scorsese movies or other cable dramas, of the last 10, 15 years. But, Cannavale's really going for it. When they do the music scenes, they're incredible. I like Juno Temple a lot. And so I'm sort of – and Terry Winter, the guy who co-created it, did Boardwalk Empire, and that was a show that was always better by the end of the season than the start. So I'm hopeful that, when we get to 10, I'll feel like, okay, that was Vinyl. That made sense.
People versus OJ is everything I've ever wanted from a pop culture experience. Peaking with Malcolm Jamal Warner as A.C. Cowlings. I did not like the 3rd episode. Now I'm worried that have you seen all of them?
I've seen 6.
How many are there?
It gets better as it goes along.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right. Well, how do you feel about the Kardashian stuff?
I know why they did it. I having lived through it as you did, the Kardashian was never that big of a part of the whole thing. I mean, he was there for the first part of it, but I never remember really thinking about him that much. I mean, who was the one that lost kind of his social standing? That was Shapiro, right?
Yeah, Shapiro struggled with that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt like he was so much more integral to the whole OJ story. But
I mean, not so much Bob Kardashian, but the fact that, like, he takes the kids out to Father's Day brunch and lectures them about fame, and they don't get it. Like, the show keeps bringing on little baby Chloe and little baby Kim.
No, I know. I know why they're doing it. It's annoying. I can't say I dislike it, though, because anytime they're all in a scene, I get kind of excited. And I love when Schwimmer was like, oh, don't talk about your Uncle Juice that way. And just Schwimmer saying Uncle Juice is incredible. And probably what we should have named the ringer. If I had to do it over again, I would have called it UncleJuice.com. But Schwimmer's been everything I wanted. He's my MVP through 3 episodes. Every Schwimmer scene makes me laugh. He's really, as you said about Carnival, Schwimmer's really going for it for some reason. I don't know why. He made $200 million from Friends. I don't totally get why this is a big thing for him, but I think he thinks it is, which I enjoy. Cuba Gooding is ludicrous as OJ. He's just ludicrous. He's a good 7 inches smaller than OJ was, and not physically imposing in any way. Who would you have cast as OJ?
I'm trying to think who's the right age and the right size, because I mean, OJ, like you say, he was a god. He was tall. He had a much deeper voice than Cuba Gooding. Cuba's not a good casting choice, other than a vaguely high-profile guy who was willing to do it. But you know who's great in it, and who you're going to get a lot more of starting this week's episode is Courtney B. Vance as Johnny Cochran.
Oh, great. Yeah, he feels like the Emmy candidate out of everyone. Sarah Paulson's been really good.
Him and Sarah Paulson are the 2 best things in the miniseries. Don't
you think Dennis Haysbert, like 13 years ago, would have been a great OJ?
Yeah, but now he's much too old to do it.
He's too old now, but I'm saying that's who they needed. Whoever 2016's Dennis Haysbert is, big, physically imposing, a little bit quiet, but looks like he might snap. But he also has the ability to be very congenial. I don't know who that actor is. One of, I think Fennessy said Morris Chestnut would have been interesting. As
well,
OJ.
Ricky was always the bigger of the two friends.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because he football legacy and all that stuff. You like The Grinder.
I do.
Is this the one with Rob Lowe or the one with Stamos?
No. Grandfather is the one with Stamos. Grinders, Rob Lowe, and Fred Savage. And I mean, part of it's just I'm so damn glad to have Fred Savage back acting. He's a good comedy director, and more power to him for doing that for so long. But I watch him in this, and I just watch him getting frustrated with Rob Lowe being Rob Lowe, and he's so funny. And I'm just so glad that he decided to do it again.
Last question. I stopped watching Walking Dead. Did I make the right choice?
Absolutely.
Okay. What went wrong?
It's fine, but there are so many other shows out there that are better than it that anyone who wants to walk away from it, I do not blame you in the slightest.
Is it fair to say that they did the Jersey Shore thing where they just had a great thing and they just went for it and overproduced episodes and tried to extract as much as they possibly could out of it, but long term it hurt the show?
I mean, the comic book's still going and the comic book's still hit, and they still keep drawing storylines from it, and the ratings are huge. But it feels like the best stuff they always do is when they do their own thing and don't copy from the comic, and they're doing less and less of that as the years go on. So yeah,
are the ratings?
The source material's not great.
Are the ratings still as big as they were, or are they going down?
They're down a little bit, but it's still huge. Like anyone else in television would weep to have a show this successful.
Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it. It's too bleak. I've seen enough zombies get killed. I've seen enough machetes go through heads, and I've seen enough gunshots to the forehead, and I've seen enough, hey, let's go to the hardware store. No, we shouldn't. No, let's go. And then, oh my God, there's zombies there. I don't know how many times you can do it.
Were you watching in the fall even?
That's when they started piling up on the DVR. There should be a name for this. When you get all of a sudden there's 3 shows in the DVR and it's almost like you're going to break up with the show, but you don't want to tell the show yet. And then there's like those 2 extra ones that end up on the DVR and then finally you delete it from the season pass. That's where I ended up last fall.
DVR remorse, something like that?
Yeah.
We can come up with something.
There's something where you just go.
But yeah, no, that's an absolute thing.
Yeah, because like Billions, 2 of them piled up on my DVR, and I kind of reached a breaking point of I could bail right now, and I'm like, kind of want. I like Axe. I want to see what's going on with Axe. It's a great name, Axe Capital. Anything you're looking forward to coming out in the next week, 2 weeks, month, whatever?
I'm trying to think what. I mean, we sort of just went through the big surge of premieres, but I'm just looking at my notes here coming up.
Thrones is coming.
Game of Thrones we still have a while till, but Americans is coming back next month. That's still one of the best shows on TV, so I'm psyched about that. But yeah, Thrones. This will be the first year where there's no book, so everyone's in the same boat, which I'm looking forward to.
All right, Alan Sepinwall, check him out on hitfix.com as always. Oh, last thing, are you upset they didn't trade Melo or no?
Melo doesn't want to be traded. I wish he wanted to be traded. It would be so much better for the Knicks, for him, for everybody. Melo likes New York. Lala likes New York. And maybe if Kurt Rambis is as bad a coach as he seems to be so far, the season will end so badly that Melo will finally agree to be traded because it's not working out here, and he's too old. This is Porzingis' team now, and you need to build around him and not around a 32-year-old guy with bum knees.
Yet again, more bleak times for the Knicks. It just never ends. At least you have Porzingis.
No, we have Porzingis.
Yeah,
so
you have
eventually
Porzingis.
Things will be okay. It's just not now. Now it's terrible.
Yeah. All right. Alan Sepinwall, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks to SoFi.com for sponsoring today's show. Unlike the big banks, SoFi is designed for the 21st century. They're progressive, nimble, and innovative. They can provide services and rates that the banks cannot. If you're looking for a financial partner designed for the 21st century, visit SoFi.com Terms and conditions apply. NMLS number 1121636. Thanks to HBO Now. You don't need cable or satellite to watch HBO anymore. Download the HBO Now app and start your free 1-month trial today. Thanks to SeatGeek, the presenting sponsor of the BS Podcast and Channel 33. Don't forget to follow The Ringer on Twitter, @Ringer. And don't forget to subscribe to our upcoming newsletter at theringer.com. More announcements to come this week on The Ringer. Stay tuned for those, and we will see you later in the week on the BS Podcast. Enjoy Monday.
We about this bitch. Anytime y'all want to see me again, rewind this track right here, close your eyes, and picture me.